Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 3rd of April for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details that we can all collectively relate to, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep into each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us, and I'd be honoured if you'd subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. This is very much a community, so please share any thoughts you have. I do interact with each one. So as we come into this new week, Mercury, the planet of communication, which rules the sign of Gemini, but also the sign of Virgo, where its influence is much more to do with precision. Its move into Taurus is asking us to grapple with the foundations in our lives, especially the ones to do with everyday finance, I feel. But the second house energy of Taurus is also about how we feel about ourselves, our self-worth and our values. But it's clashing with the mighty but tiny Pluto almost straight away. So Monday through to Wednesday could see some tensions around a group situation or around a closer relationship where our values may not align quite as closely with somebody else, perhaps as much as we thought they had done, or any differences that have been there can come to the surface, can be revealed. Pluto often keeps things out of sight, so there could be some revelations in this early part of the week. But there's also, from Tuesday to Saturday, Mercury actually forges a very constructive link to Saturn. So if we can tap in to past experiences, knowledge and instincts, our instincts, in a positive way, that can help us to make the most of our resources. Also, Saturn is linking brilliantly this week to Mars, with both Mars in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces, two water signs. I think the provocative energy of Mars, it's not at its best in Cancer, of course, it's in a full. I think that's saying, look, it's okay to grapple with emotions and perhaps even be a little bit more vulnerable. So we could see some people opening up about their core values or opening up about their feelings. Also, from Wednesday to Sunday, a glorious link between Venus and Neptune is really quite idealistic. So if there's someone coming through in our situation who we really do admire and has the kind of qualities that we can really respect, this could be something that gives us a lot of uplift. The key to that particular aspect is not to have unrealistic expectations. But of course, relationships really come sharply into focus on the back of the full moon. For most people, this is going to occur on Thursday. For those people who live on the west coast of America, it is on Wednesday. But Chiron, the wounded healer, is very close to the Sun, as is Jupiter. And I feel that there is an opportunity here for all of us to think again about the connections we have, to not necessarily just view things in binary terms of they're with us, they're not with us. Life has become so polarized. If you can see the nuances in situations and the experience of our journey through this existence that are really quite mutual, that's going to be something we can gain from this. But with Uranus forging a quincunx to the moon position, it could be that in some situations, differences over money or how it's spent, or those values could be the part of the relationship which really does need some attention. Now, as this week draws to a close, Venus is forging a wonderful angle to Pluto. This really can help us to appreciate the very special alliances we have in our lives. And also a little bit of fortune is starting to bubble up, potentially, as the week draws to a close, as the Sun is approaching Jupiter in Aries. They're actually going to meet up in person, so to speak, next Tuesday. that will be when the aspect becomes exact. But this is one of the most fortifying of all planetary aspects in astrology. So if energy has been a little bit low, physical vitality, there's a lot of things that we're absorbing these days that can make us feel a little bit depleted. So I feel that there's an opportunity to feel a sense of uplift. But overall, this is a week which is asking us to engage with feelings and also the reality of our everyday resources and our need for security, and just feed that into how we're thinking about our need to get our own way, very Aries energy, against how we need to collaborate and connect to others, that Libran full moon. Please stay with me now as I dive deep with each of the 12 signs. But if you would like to ascend above this zodiac forecast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can prepare for you your life roadmap report. This can help you to get a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your existence so far. And also my special package of 30% off, you can order your 12-month personal forecast. Totally unique to you, just like your life roadmap report. And this can give searing insights of how to make the most of the upcoming months. If you don't know your time of birth, I have developed a new solar chart and forecast package, which also has 30% off. Please see the link below for more information on both. So Scorpio, your week commencing the 3rd of April forecast is really exciting in terms of the interaction between the 7th house, which is about how we partner, interact, communicate around our relationships, but also the 5th house, which can be about where we demonstrate our talents, have fun, yes, even with Saturn there, but crucially Neptune's there as well. So that energy arcing between house 7 and house 5, which can also be the sector of where your children, if you have them, can also sparkle, is very strong this week. What's more challenging once Mercury moves on Monday is its tense right angle to Pluto. So if there is a difference, perhaps that difference is actually much more emotional than the conversation may reveal. Perhaps, you know, you're trying to reach into someone else's circumstances, or they to you, as each of you see it, but that may not be how each of you hear it. So a little bit of defensiveness could happen at the start of this week, but then Mercury goes on to forge a great link to Saturn. So if you are discussing something, you're trying to partner up with someone, collaborate with someone, it could really get firmed up after those initial tensions. Also Venus and Neptune. What an evocative mix. Venus in your sector of marriage, Neptune in your sector of romance. Now, if you're single, the fact that Mercury has moved into your sector of relating can trigger a lot more discussions. Now, of course, Mercury is going to be going retrograde on the 21st and starts to slow down later this week in its pre-retrograde shadow. So not everything may go exactly to the plan when it comes to your interactions, but this is one of those magical planetary alliances that can bring out the best in people. Also, Venus then goes on to forge a great link with your modern ruler Pluto towards the end of this week. Once more, this ramps up an understanding of who's really meaningful. So I think a lot of interaction is possible after those early tensions. But what about that full moon? Of course, it is tucked up in house 12. Can be to do with things coming into the open that you're not expecting. But with Chiron so close to the sun in house 6, your everyday structures, perhaps something to do with your approach to your emotional, psychological or spiritual health is having some kind of impact on your physical vitality. And someone could make an observation, Uranus in house 7, that's frank. Uranus is about truth. And also it's very much a disruptor influence in the sign of Taurus, because this is not its best location. Perhaps someone is going to tell you quite directly that they see something very differently to you, but in their observation, however difficult it may be to hear, maybe they've got a point. So if there is something that needs recalibrating around your approach to work, health, fitness, diet, nutrition, exercise, also your obligations to others, the Sun advancing towards Jupiter, which actually happens next week, but they start to get in contact with each other towards the end of this week. From that full moon, I think some goodness can follow. And perhaps the biggest thing I could tell you about Mercury's transition through your opposite sign, including the retrograde, is the more you can sharpen up your listening skills, but also in a detached way. So if people see things differently, not necessarily in a way that feels wounding, the more you can gain, because it can help you to expand your understanding of your own needs around relationships, but also see more deeply that it's fine for other people to have different needs to you, but it's even better if you can understand those needs and reach into them at some level.